Good afternoon, everybody. This is video 2 of the chapter 2 video notes. And let's take a quick look at the question before we move on. This question reads, why did the founders make their first national government so weak? And what were those weaknesses? Before we delve in, I want to point out that a number of students think that our first and only government is the constitutional government that we're currently in. That is incorrect. Our first government was established was the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation was established in 1781 towards the end of the American Revolution when it became clear that we would need to have a government see us through our independence. And it would last us for a good 6 years. Now, the question that you want to ask yourself is why would they make an intentionally weak government? Well, to answer that question, you need to think on a couple things. First, why did they revolt against the British to begin with? If you'll recall, the central government under the British was perceived as too terribly strong. So if that's the view, well, then naturally the goal for the new government would be to make it relatively weak. One of the questions in assessing the Articles of Confederation, though, was it a conservative or a radical revolution? And to clarify those terms, a radical revolution would completely topple the status quo, completely eliminate the sort of lifestyles that many were used to prior to the American Revolution. A conservative revolution would try to maintain or hold on to much of what life was like before the American Revolution began. And if you'll look here on the chart, we can see that women didn't fare very well after the American Revolution. In fact, some even lost some rights. African Americans saw an expansion of slavery during this specific period. So that too seems to point to kind of holding back the way things were. But it is also worth noting, though, that the Articles of Confederation did change a good deal, though, as well. One, each state had one vote. Congress was given the sole authority to govern the country. In other words, they had that one branch of government. There is no king. It says here an executive committee oversaw government when Congress was not in session. Committee, not one, committee there. And that they could, and that the courts could temporarily establish courts. There was no U.S. Supreme Court. There was no president. So hopefully now you're starting to see, wow, that's not a whole lot of faith in a national government. And it's also worth noting that in order for any given measure to ultimately pass, like taxes, okay, all 13 states had to agree to it. So their ability to kind of get things done was significantly hampered during the Articles of Confederation. Even to revise the Articles of Confederation would have required far more unanimity, far more agreement than the current Constitution does. So, which is why they ran into things like this. You see that they weren't able to effectively tax. They couldn't regulate trade or commerce of any kind. There was no national military. They relied on what are called state militias. In other words, voluntary units of military guards. In other words, citizens that were armed. We already mentioned the one vote per state. We also mentioned the unanimous vote to change the articles. No national courts, no executive branch. In other words, the national government was very, very weak, and they weren't able to. I mean, if you can't tax, if you'll recall, that's one of the chief functions of government. If you can't establish a national military, well, how are you to guard yourselves against any foreign threats? And forget foreign threats, there were internal threats. In the state of Massachusetts, a group of rural farmers that had fought in the American Revolution had not yet been paid their salaries from having fought in the American Revolution. Yet these same farmers, when they were unable to pay the taxes to the state of Massachusetts, the governments began imprisoning these people. Well, Daniel Shea was not okay with this, and he actually ended up leading a rebellion against the state government in Massachusetts, and they closed the courthouses in that state. Well, the problem was that Massachusetts could not find a militia large enough to put this rebellion down, and neither could the national government. This proved deeply concerning to a number of representatives within the Continental Congress at the time. They had those 13 states, and they did have representatives at this time. And they're watching the incredible threat to property. I mean, you can imagine a bunch of poor farmers that are rising up and ultimately revolting, and they don't have a military to put it down. There were a good deal of elites at this time that were seriously concerned about that sort of toppling. And forget the elites for a moment. Again, if they can't ultimately stop a rebellion like this, how on earth are they going to stop Britain if they come back, or France, or Spain, that would soon be nipping at their heels? So this is why ultimately they ended up coming together to form a constitutional convention. But guys, their states only authorized them to reform the Articles of Confederation. Yet they determined, in secret, without the consent of their states, to completely abandon the Articles of Confederation and to set up a new form of government. Now, on one hand, that might be a good idea given how many incredible weaknesses there were within the Articles of Confederation. On the other hand, it wasn't ultimately decided very democratically. Whether or not they made the right decisions in forming that might be able to be answered based on the type of government they set up and the impacts that were felt after that government was set up, both then, immediately after the Constitution, and for years to come. But that is for later discussions. Thanks for the time, everybody.